Oh me, oh my. This is actually quite a shocker. I can't believe that this is happening. I'm looking at this forum post slash announcement from Blizzard, and I am just. I guess it confirms a few things. I'm not gonna go too in depth with that. It's probably gonna be like next expansion is gonna be like next year. It's a little weird considering that I'm used to the expansions coming out on like the even years. But maybe in the future they might be coming out in the odd years. I hope they kind of get everything under control. Maybe the delay might help. But now that that theory might be true, let's actually get on to what this has to say. So let's see. Now that Season 3 is well underway and players are pursuing all seasonal aspects of Mythic Plus and competitive PvP, we'd like you to join us in considering what might come afterwards. Later this year, after the current season has run for a typical duration, we're planning to conclude Season 3 and begin Shadowlands Season 4, a fresh take on what a season of WoW might include. In Shadowlands Season 4, your PvP efforts will reward you with a new higher tier of PvP gear along with other season rewards such as mounts and titles. We're planning for the highest ranking title to be Eternal Gladiator, a fitting capstone for your Shadowlands PvP achievements. We're excited to announce that we're going to shake things up for Mythic Plus and raiding in Season 4. We'd like to change up the Mythic Plus dungeon pool so that it would include 8 dungeons that span the last 4 expansions of WoW. These dungeons are Tazavesh Streets, Tazavesh Gambit, Mechagon Junkyard, Mechagon Workshop, Karazhan Lower, Karazhan Upper, and 2 dungeons from Warlords of Draenor. To that end, we've started a community poll where you'll help us decide which 2 Draenor dungeons are included in the Season 4 Mythic Plus rotation. There's like a little poll you could choose from Auchindoun, Slag Mines, Everbloom, Grimrail Depot, Burial Grounds, Skyreach, and Upper Blackrock Spire. For Season 4 rating, we're imagining adding a progenitor-themed affix system to infuse some new mechanical twists into Castle Nathria, Sanctum of Domination, and the Sepulchre of the First Ones. Our intention here would be to make all 3 raids relevant in Season 4, with increased difficulty and more powerful levels of raid loot dropping throughout all of them. Feel free to reply here and let us know what you think of these experiments, blah 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 blah. So yeah, that's basically what they're doing. But kind of my questions that I have, and I have a bunch of questions, but I'm going to try and narrow them down to the more important ones. And to start off, it's like, how is gear gonna work, especially when it comes to tier loot? The creation catalyst isn't even coming out until what? Let me just check my calendar on my phone. That's not coming until like 3 weeks down the line. I have no fucking clue what's gonna happen. Are we gonna have to grind for like higher tier sets? Is it just gonna stay the same? Is tier loot gonna drop from everything? Like I'm kind of confused. And also, what does this mean for the creation catalyst too? Like that's only coming in a couple of weeks, but like these are some important questions. And if I were to hypothesize some answers, I'd probably say that they are probably going to increase the item level of loot overall again, probably by like 26 levels. But in terms of tier, they're probably not going to make like a brand new tier set, considering that these are already pretty powerful and people really like them. I have a feeling it's probably just going to be an item level bump. But in terms of that, are they going to make tier acquisition any easier? That'd be nice to know. Like they just gotta be in good communication with the player base, and we'll see from there. Um, I guess my next question that I'm probably gonna ask, considering that I'm very much into the dungeon part of WoW, um, why include any of this shit? Like, I don't get why they couldn't just come up with a new seasonal affix, but I mean, I'm all right with it, but I'm speaking more in terms of like how these dungeons are gonna work out in terms of like. So here's a couple of ideas. So theoretically, and this is probably going to be the most probable one, all of these 8 dungeons are going to have encrypted. Now, we know that these dungeons work pretty well with encrypted. They're like the newest ones added to the game. But Mechagon wasn't exactly designed with the mecha gnomes of the place having relics of the fucking first ones. So yeah, it's a little weird, but and I do know the routes for those dungeons. I have done Battle for Azeroth Mythic Plus, especially I did quite a shit ton of it in the last season of BFA. I even own the mount for Keystone Master BFA Season 4. It was a lot of work, but it's pretty nice. Also, don't mind the thing. There's like a fucking softball game happening outside. Just listen to me and you'll be okay. Maybe you don't hear anything at all. Sorry, I was distracted. But I did not do Legion Mythic Plus nor Warlords Challenge mode. I actually started playing very late into Warlords of Draenor, and with that, it was at a super casual level. Like, I just did LFR compared to the stuff I'm doing now. Like, yeah, I was just doing LFR. But let's see. Like, I don't know how these dungeons would work with encrypted as well. Like, I did like Return to Karazhan, like doing it as just a regular Mythic 0. It was hard, but pretty rewarding. I think I did it in like 9.2 or something. But also, it's like, how would all this shit work with encrypted? And especially with Warlords dungeons, how would those even work with the fixes? Like, that's something that I don't even want to think about. It's probably gonna be terrible. I haven't been in any of those dungeons in years. And depending on which two actually make it, those are the ones I have to be analyzing like fucking crazy. Like, two dungeons that I haven't done in what, like 8 years almost? Well, probably more like 7, but still, you get the point. Another possibility is that like, only these two could be encrypted. Only these two have awakened. Now, that was the BFA seasonal fix. Return to Karazhan could have Infernal, but the only problem is that what would the Warlords affix be? You know, Grom Hellscream just pops up out of nowhere and asks you to give him a hand job? Like, that doesn't sound all that fun. What affix are they gonna come up with? So, that's kind of why I think the encrypted for everything is gonna work out, and not kind of the other thing that I proposed that would make appropriate sense for the dungeons as they were designed in a different era. Although I'll say that Infernal is technically a Shadowlands affix. It was designed in Shadowlands, although it's meant for the Legion dungeons. Also, that affix is probably gonna need a bit more refinement, especially when it comes to the only buff that you get are the Infernal damage thingy, which is really only beneficial for just the it's really only beneficial just for the Infernal pulls. But aside from that, I don't want this video to go on for too long. I just wanted it to be a quick reaction thingy. But I guess for the last question, it would have to do with raiding. There are some fights in all three of those raids that are very mechanically intensive. What more mechanics could you add without completely breaking some fights, like to name a most recent one, Anduin? It took my guild a long time, even on normal mode, just to down normal Anduin. Like, how else could they make the fight even more batshit crazy than it already is? Like, it might, like, for some of these fights, if there are going to be adding some new mechanics, it's going to be mechanical overload. Like, it's going to be way too much to analyze, and it's going to be annoying. Like, is it only going to be for certain bosses that they're going to do this? Like, they could add maybe an extra mechanic or two on, like, some of the earlier boss fights. Not Zymox. God, no, not Zymox. That would not be fun. That fight is already a pain in the fucking ass. But the other ones, yeah, they could use an extra mechanic. They especially the more simpler boss fights. But the ones at the end, it's like, I don't think they need anything else. They're already mechanically complex. Although from what I've heard, Rygalon is basically like a loop pinata. But aside from that, it's just like, what else could possibly, like, what else could they possibly add? Like, that's something I just don't know. And I like the progenitor themed stuff in the other raids, but lore wise I don't think it makes much sense. So how are they gonna pass that off? And it's just kind of weird. But other than that, I'll tell you which dungeons that I voted for. I voted for Auchendoon and Skyreach. Those are two dungeons I particularly remember from WoD. And Skyreach, I think, is actually an enjoyable dungeon. Even with its little wind obstacle and whatnot, I could just completely cheese it with Death's Advance. It's the greatest. I love it. Let's see. Yep, that's about it. So I'll catch you guys next time. Hope the loud music and blurting didn't really distract you from my commentary. But yeah,